Hi, Gareth Sorry, Gareth Hollis again. Welcome back to Everything You Never Needed to Know About Me, and thank you for progressing this far because it probably hasn't been easy. Certainly, some subjects are probably a lot more mundane and boring than others. I'm probably not enjoying my dulcet tones that much. So thank you for persevering. Trigger warning again. Still waiting on depression and assault coming up, but at some point they will, because I'm running out of topics now, but using the random number generator to tell me what's coming up next. So 33, and I still keep saying the numbers even though you've no idea what's on these things. So 33, it's a song. So 33 is Started Out With Nothing. When I was at work one day, I can't remember how we even got onto this subject, but we were talking about music and talking about songs. It might have been actually with one of the Canadian people who I work with, who does a bit of rapping and stuff, or it might have even been someone else now. I can't even remember. It was basically, the conversation went along the lines of me not being street or like down with the kids or cool or anything like that with my music. I mean, at the time, it was pretty much just Christmas songs that I had. In fact, it might have even just been Christmas songs and the couple I wrote about my depression. So I said, okay, right, well, no, I'm totally cool and down with the kids and street and all that. I'm gonna write a rap song. I'll deliver it to you tomorrow. So in the next sort of 24 hours, then I wrote the lyrics, or the rap. I don't even know if it's still called lyrics of rap. It's not really my genre, to be honest. So I wrote this rap, and then I went on YouTube and I found some music for it. And then I spoke to the guy in Italy who was making my Christmas songs, and he actually did me a good deal and actually produced, put the music and the lyrics together for free for me, which was nice. He got it all done, so that when I went back to work the next day, I'd say, yep, I've done it, it's there. And then that's how Started Out With Nothing came. And it was a bit of, I suppose, tongue-in-cheek look at, like, there's a lot of rappers out there who, they'll be talking about how they came from nothing and now they're doing so well for themselves. They've got all the girls there, they've got the Lamborghinis or the Ferraris or the Bugattis or whatever, and the mansions and the swimming pools, and how they're doing so well for themselves, having got themselves off the street. And yeah, that's all all well and good, and good on them, and etc. But it doesn't really gel with me, in that I can't associate with that. I'm not. I've certainly not made it from nothing. So I went with Started Out With Nothing and pretty much still got nothing. And that's where that came from anyway. And then my eldest daughter actually laid down the singing bit to it while I did the supposed rap that was not really rapping as such. But so my daughter sang the Started Out With Nothing apparently, sort of between each verse. I don't know if it's still called a verse in a rap, actually. This is the sort of thing I probably should have researched before I started talking to you, but every day's a school day, as it turns out. So that's where that came from. It's actually on Alexa. It's not something I'm proud of, but so I say Alexa, it's on iTunes and Spotify, Deezer, all that sort of thing, because at the time I just wanted to test the theory about how you actually upload songs. That was the first thing I put out there. Luckily, it only lasts a year, so it's probably only got about another 6 months-ish, maybe. I don't even know when I put it on there now. Completely lost track of time. No, might be a bit more than that. I think it will still be there after the Christmas songs go out, which is unfortunate. It's not something I particularly wanted to be associated with. Not because it's necessarily bad, but it's not particularly good quality or anything like that. It was recorded on my laptop with a cheap mic and then put to this music and done in a very short space of time. I was aiming for just getting it out there in the 24 hours as agreed, rather than actually putting too much time and effort into it, making it a good recording. Although the lyrics itself, I'm happy enough with. There's a bit of humour in there. And he's just talking about me. I suppose it's my normal sort of. Well, certainly at the time, I wasn't my my happy self. So I suppose it captured my frame of mind at that point, and was of its time. But it's there now. It's done. And when it ages off, it's not something I'll be renewing. So if you want to see that if you want to hear that, then I'd suggest maybe ask for it sooner rather than later. So started out with nothing. It's called. I mean, it'll still be on YouTube, but the internet doesn't go away, does it? So I think that's that exhausted. Lesson learned though. I don't do rapping. 29. Bucket list. Have you got a bucket list? I know most people have probably got a bucket list of some description, even if they don't call it that. They've got things they want to do, things they want to achieve before they die. Now, for me, I'm not like one of these adrenaline junkies. I'm not going to be going bungee jumping or skydiving or climbing Mount Everest or any of those sort of things. Does not interest me in the slightest. The same with traveling. I'm not going to go backpacking around the world to go find myself or anything like that. I know who I am. I'm content enough with that. I don't think I'm going to gain like knowing who I am more from going to different places. I'll just be the best me I can be with the limited resources I've got, I suppose. So my bucket list is, having just said about not travelling, Australia. I'd love to go Australia, but not just that. I'd love to go Australia over Christmas. So I don't know if it's the same all over the world, but in the UK, we imported a TV show called Neighbours and Home and Away. They're both very big over here. In fact, I think they're still going. Certainly things I used to watch like religiously almost as a child. Not so much Home and Away, but Neighbours certainly. And then you'd see them at Christmas time and the sun would be shining and they'd be on the beach having a barbecue, or they'd be around the swimming pool in like in swimwear, and I'd be looking out the window and it's cold and miserable. I mean, not even snowing, just cold and wet and miserable for the most part. And I'd love to spend a summer, spend Christmas in Australia where it's nice and warm and do these things like my childhood heroes did. I say childhood heroes, I mean the childhood heroes would probably be more like the A-Team and Knight Rider, but or Happy Days. But you know what I mean. So and I said that if I ever won the lottery, then that would be one of the things I'd do, is just buy a house in Australia and live there sort of 6 months of the year, and then just chase the sun and just keep avoiding winter and just keep coming every time it got cold. Just come back to this country for 6 months, and then when it gets cold here, go back to Australia for 6 months. But my sister actually lives in Australia already. She's married to an Australian now. They've got a daughter together, and they were saying that actually at Christmas time last year, it was too hot. They wanted to have a barbecue on the beach, but it was about 40 degrees. It was too hot to go to the beach. But I don't know. I mean, I've been in Afghanistan and places like that. So for me, if I can stand that sort of temperature in full uniform and body armor and everything else that goes with it, and webbing and Bergen and all that stuff, then I'm sure I can cope with being on a beach with a beer in 40 degrees. But who knows? I've certainly not encountered too hot yet. Too cold, I've encountered that lots and lots of times, but too hot, because I hate the cold so much, I never moan about how hot it is. Oh, you know what? I didn't write down most of the bucket list stuff on here. Right, so from memory then. Well, I'd love to have a Christmas song that not necessarily got to number one, but was played every year. I'd love to leave a legacy, even if it's not the Christmas song, something that when my kids have grown up, or even before they're grown up, that they can say to their friends, "Oh, my dad wrote this song." Even better if it's actually me singing as well, because then I know we'll be getting some decent royalties for it, and I'm leaving them an inheritance, which is something I don't expect to get myself, any kind of inheritance. And I don't resent that, but I don't, I'd like to give my kids an easier chance of getting on the property ladder and things, stuff that I've not done. And yes, all right, I could say I want them to do the same things I've done and have to work for it. But if you can help, then you do help. And I know that if my dad was in a position to help, he would help. And if I am in a position like I am, where I can put these songs out there and hope for the best, then it's almost selfish to not do it. So that's one of the things on the bucket list, is to try and have a song that has longevity, that gets played regularly. So I've got my happy anniversary song. Maybe that'll do it. But I don't know. To me, there's something like almost magical about having a Christmas song. Something then that, as the children get older and they have children, that they're then bringing up the same traditions and values they had and playing the same music they had at Christmas, and reliving their own memories and making new memories for their children to then take as they grow up and do to their children. And like circle of life type stuff. I'd love that. Then probably the only other thing on my bucket list is something like back from when I was, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, reading magazines like Max Power and Revs and Fast Car and Redline. I'd love to have a cover car. That I've built a car that is so nice it's considered being worthy of the front cover of a magazine. Now, initially it was, something like Max Power would have been where I was aiming, but obviously Max Power is now defunct, and has been for quite a few years now, actually. That whole scene of people just doing mental things to the cars just to be different seems to have died out, and people just seem to do the same modifications as each other now, just simple things like suspension and wheels, and that's about it. So there's no sort of stupid Japanese inspired body kits and things anymore. So that's out the window. But there's I'd still like to have something as a cover car. Probably actually the VW Camper's my best chance when I get that back and it's all done, because there's a bit of a story with that as well, with the reason it's currently away being repaired, due to a supposedly reputable breakdown company taking it up, recovering it and crashing it at least once, not even telling me about it. And then when the assessor came out trying to tell me that this VW Camper, before they crashed it, was only worth £50, and me having to fight them for months and months and months for it, before I end up having to admit defeat and go through my own insurance company, who coincidentally they valued it at £4,500. So quite a big leap from that £50 that the breakdown company thought it was. Where they think you can get a VW Camper these days for 50 quid, I don't know. I mean, even scrap, I could have weighed it in for probably about 3 times that. Anyway, so there's a bit more than it just being a van, and it will be quite nice when it's all finished as well anyway. So that's probably my best chance of getting a cover car, unless I suddenly become very, very wealthy. If anyone wants to give me money, by the way, I'm open to that. It's never happened, but gotta say, suggest it. But the lottery could happen, or maybe I will find musical success and get money that way. Either way, let's keep hoping, because the sad fact is you don't need money to be happy, but it certainly helps. And if I'm going to be miserable, I'd probably rather be miserable in a mansion than on the street, I suppose. So at least I'd be warm. Because I don't like being cold, as I've said. And money does make the world go around, unfortunately. So having that money would probably, in fact, my bucket list. So money would make all that bucket list happen. So just got to keep hoping for the best, I suppose. So next number, 36. Sorry, I've got a really itchy nose today. 36. 36 is another song. So Chicago Girl. With my lyrics only collaboration wanted playlist, one of the people who seems to have written the most songs for this is a guy in Croatia. And what one day he came to me with another song that he'd written called Chicago Girl. And he'd made it into a song in Croatian, but he wanted to make an English song of it as well. And he roughly translated it and sang it. Oh, God. Sorry, I don't know what it is today. So he came to me and asked me if I could write lyrics for his song. And I liked the tune of it quite a lot. His only real stipulation was it had to keep the name Chicago Girl. So I wrote words that fitted in with that theme, even though actually thinking about it, his original one, I don't know why it was called Chicago Girl, because there was no reference even to Chicago in it, I don't think. And I was really happy, actually. I thought it was actually probably among my better lyrics at the time. And it fitted in nicely with the song. And eventually he made the song, but he changed the tune. And unfortunately, I didn't think it was as good for it. I really liked the tune it had before, and I thought that really fitted in well with the lyrics I had. So if you've seen it on my YouTube channel, the tune I've sang it to is the tune that it originally would have been when we started working with it. And I think it's got promise. I think it could be a good song, but unfortunately at the moment it's just sat there like that. And the lyrics exist as a song, but to me it just hasn't lived up to the potential it could have had. So that's Chicago Girl. Next one, 12. Alright, it's great how I picked up this beer and didn't actually have any. 12, Depression. Well, we knew it was going to come up at some point. I've been saying about it in the giving a trigger warning in the opening introduction each time. So it's good that we finally know when that's happening. However, that's probably going to be a bit of a lengthy one. So I'll save that for the next episode, and I'll call this one quits. So thank you very much for watching and sticking with me and learning how bad I am at counting. And I'll hopefully see you in the next episode. Please like and subscribe if you want to see how this journey continues. Bye for now.